Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. The Peruvian mummies are back in the news again, and it looks like the debunkers don't really care, even though there's been an offer on the table now that's been thrown out by some filmmakers that have been investigating the case of the mummies, which really aren't mummies. They're actually well preserved corpses that were found in Peru. These miniature little bodies. Who knows what they are? According to scientists that are looking at them, that they're not human. Some of them apparently have metallic implants inside them as well. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I came across this yesterday. Of course, I was on YouTube, and there was a new video put out by Cosmic Road, which is run by Jack Connor. Jack Connor does a really good job on his show. Cosmic Road. He has updates all the time about what's going on in the world of UFOs, disclosure, extraterrestrials. He's constantly following the news and constantly updating things on his channel on a regular basis. Sometimes he has multiple videos on in one day. And he put a video on about this, and I started watching this video, and I was taken when there was a woman standing there talking, saying that this is open. They're inviting scientists from everywhere, from the United States of America, to go to look at these bodies, examine these bodies, so they could prove to themselves that these things aren't human. That's what's going on right now. And actually, after I saw this video from Cosmic Road, Jack Connor, I actually posted something about it on Twitter. I actually posted, where are the debunkers and scoffing mainstream scientists who say they don't believe this story? They are offering any expert to examine them for themselves. Here's your chance to prove once and for all it's a hoax. What are you waiting for? I put that out yesterday after seeing that video, and I actually talked about it even more today. I got into a debate online with some debunkers, or actually debunker followers, and then actually the big man himself, Mick West, the top debunker of our age, actually commented. And I actually wrote this. I was in a conversation with a debunker acolyte, and I said, why isn't Team Metabunk, Metabunk, by the way, is this website run by Mick West. Why isn't Team Metabunk boarding a plane for Mexico right now to examine the Peruvian corpses? The group said this week that they want scientists from America to look for themselves. Here's their big chance to prove it's all a hoax. What are they waiting for? And Mick West responded. He says, because they are just silly. That's his response. They are just silly. And then I responded back to him. I said, thank you for your response. It clearly shows that you don't require research to reach a conclusion. Now we all know. You made your mind up a long time ago on all of this stuff, and you were never a serious researcher. Thanks for admitting it. So basically, we got an admission here today from Mick West that no research is not required with this. Now, there are people are making these claims. Scientists in Mexico are making claims that these bodies that they found in Peru, these well-preserved corpses, are not human beings, and they don't know what they are, and that the DNA is not 30% of the DNA is unknown. And here's a chance for the debunkers to go there and look at these things and decide for themselves. Bring their own scientists with them. Neil deGrasse Tyson, another one. Bring all these debunkers should find some scientists of their choice and go to Mexico to look into this. Examine the body. These bodies. Find out for themselves. Come up with their own determination. But they're not going to do it because, like Mick West says, it's all silly. They're all just silly. Again, like I talked about before, debunkers, they don't want to do any real research. It's better just to sit back and issue proclamations. That's what they do. And there's a lot of people who follow these people. They don't realize that they're in a cult, and they just they hear these proclamations and they believe them. Now, I'm not saying that I don't know. I hear there are scientists in Mexico who are saying that working under the umbrella of some sort of a Jaime Maussan operation, which to me, Jaime Maussan puts up a couple of red flags like I talked about in the past, but that doesn't matter. I think that, there are scientists that are looking at this and are saying that these things aren't human. What are they? Maybe they're not extraterrestrial for all we know. They could be some form of humanoid life that existed on this planet a long time ago that maybe is a close relative to human beings. I have no idea. But these people are telling us that these things are not human beings. These corpses that they found in Peru are not human. They're something else. So how come debunkers who like to say things, they put up a big talk all the time, but they never when they have a chance here, it doesn't seem like they want to do it. Maybe they'll change their minds. I don't know. I think they should. I'd like to know more. I'd like to see some scientists from America look at those bodies. Let's get an analysis from more people. The more the merrier. Let's put this to rest one way or another, once and for all. That's what we should be doing. But it doesn't seem like these people want to do that. Anyway, there was an article here. Now, just so you know, this happened a couple days ago. They actually had this presentation. It was in Hollywood on the 12th of March, where they had this presentation, and that's where they invited any scientist that wants to look at these and examine them for themselves, and they could come up with their own determination. But these people are insisting that these things are not human. Now, again, I would think that people in the scientific community, debunkers, a lot of people should be jumping at this opportunity. They should be jumping at it. They could prove, say, if it's a hoax, they could say, yeah, it was all a hoax, just like we thought for all along. Or they could say, you know what, these people are right. We can't identify these things. I don't know what they are. Whatever, but who knows? But why don't we do some research, or actual research, rather than just sitting back and making proclamations? That's not the way it should be done. I'm not saying I know what they are. For all I know, maybe they're aliens from outer space. Maybe they're a hoax. Maybe they're not a hoax. Maybe there's non-human type of beings, but not human, that lived here on this planet a long time ago. I have no idea. I'd like to hear from some scientists, though, more scientists. But anyway, here was an article. I'm just going to go through this article. It was in the Sun earlier this month. It says, no hoax. Never before seen pics of new alien mummies revealed as filmmakers say they have proof they contain unique type of DNA. The article states, new pictures of bizarre three-fingered alien mummies have been released by documentarians probing whether the infamous figures are fake or alien. The filmmakers say they will show that the figures contain a new form of DNA and are not simply dolls made for tourists, which was claimed in recent media reports. Yeah, as we heard before, there were some people that were saying that these were just dolls made for tourists in the past. Now, again, that claim itself was actually made just by somebody thinking it without really doing any real research. Anyway, continuing here, if you look at the pictures of these things, they only have 3 digits on their hand. You know, I talk about the experience. I just was talking about it recently. What I saw when I was a kid. There was a creature in my room when I was a kid that only had 3 digits on its hand. I was just talking about that story in a recent podcast. Were they related, I wonder? Anyway, it says here, these never-seen-before photos, shared exclusively with The Sun, show the creatures which were reportedly uncovered in a mountain mine in Peru. The 4-foot-tall creature seen curled up in a ball has undergone testing, while another 9-foot-tall specimen has also been discovered. Investigative filmmakers Serena D.C. and Michael Mazzola plan to present more incredible evidence of new beings at a press conference in West Hollywood on March 12th. The pair will serve up what they describe as evidence of X-rays and laboratory examinations of the bodies conducted and filmed by U.S. scientists in Mexico and Peru. Serena and Michael are on a mission to demystify reports and claims about the bodies which had been branded fakes by Peruvian officials who dismissed talk of this finding as simply being a tourist trick. Unimpressed Serena and Michael claim they will debunk the untruths and dish up evidence surrounding these figures, which they say are different from those being studied by the scientists in Mexico and Peru. And here's a direct quote from Serena. She says, the figures have never been publicly shown before, are incredible, and very different from the specimen that Jaime Maussan famously presented to the Mexican Congress last year. So yeah, they were showing, during this thing the other day, they were showing this other one. So again, I'm not going to read the whole article, but you see where this is going here. You have one side saying that this is something new. This is something nobody ever knew about before. And you have another side who has not done any research, that doesn't plan to because they're too silly. It's too silly to do the research. Why even bother? They already made their minds up. That's how debunkers operate. That's just fantastic, isn't it? So now we know. You see how it operates here. You don't have, if you're from the debunker side in this world, right? You don't have to do any research. You get to pontificate. You get to sit back in your chair and say, it's all silly. Why even bother? So that's where we're at with this, and I just thought it was important to point it out. I think you should check out this article if you get a chance, and also check out the video from on Cosmic Road, which is very interesting from yesterday. And again, I wonder what's going on here with these debunkers. They don't want to look into it. I find that really strange. Are they afraid that they might be discover that they're wrong this time? Is that what this is about? Perhaps. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they would find. I mean, I don't know. If we had sent some more scientists there of their choosing, right? You think they would get together and say, yeah, we got to figure this out. We got to come up with an answer, right? And not a preconceived answer. They should go into it, let's find out for sure, for certain what this is, one way or another, and have somebody look at it. But they don't want to do that. They'd rather just make proclamations. That's how they operate, and that's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. There was another comment here. Some scientists said that the DNA is 30% unknown, with clear indications of genetic manipulation. So there's something could be to this, right? It looks like there could be something to this. Now, again, are we going to get some action from the skeptics to try to disprove what these people are stating? I mean, I think we have to, right? I mean, we would have to, or this is just going to stand. There's going to be a lot of people in the world who are going to say, look, you didn't even bother looking at those Peru corpses, right? When they gave you the opportunity, you didn't even bother to look at them, right? And so now, what is the world to think? What is the world to think? These people, the ones that have looked at it, they're saying these things aren't human. We don't know what they are. We offered to let these skeptics look at it, but they won't do it. They won't do it. It's too silly to them. They don't, because are they afraid? Like, what's going on here? You have to ask yourself. Anyway, moving on. There's something else I wanted to talk about, which I think has not been talked about enough, and not even by myself here. I have mentioned it, here and there, but it's this crash that David Grush, the whistleblower, was talking about last year, this crash that allegedly happened in Italy in 1933. You know what's interesting? When you think about it, now the Arrow just had its report, issued its report. Of course, the report was totally bogus, as we all know, but it didn't have any mention of that Italian crash in there, of this alleged UFO that crashed in Italy and was stored away somewhere, and then toward the close of World War II in either 1944 or 1945, the Americans were told by the Vatican, hey, they're storing this object. You might want to pick it up. And apparently that's what happened. The Americans took this object back home. Now, Grush had brought this up last year when he went public with all his assertions about what's going on, and these are one of the things. And I remember, if you remember correctly, he was cleared by somebody within the government to talk about this. Like he was okay. They were okay with him talking about this alleged crash from 1933. Well, maybe it's not alleged. I mean, you would think, like, in the Arrow report didn't even talk about this crash of this object in 1933, and nobody from the Pentagon has stepped forward ever since Grush made those assertions to say, no, that's all fake. Nobody from the government has said anything about this, as far as I could see. So are we? Maybe even people in the UFO community, maybe we're missing the boat here. Maybe this is a disclosure in a way, because Grush was cleared. He didn't state this initially when he first started talking. This was something that came out later on when he started talking about this crash from 1933, and he was cleared to say it. So what's the story then? Well, if it's true, Grush said it. Nobody's refuted it yet. Nobody from the government has said one word about it. Well, where is this object? What is it? Anyway, here is an article. This was from the Daily Mail. When was this? This is from last summer. I just want to go through this article and talk about this case a little bit. It says here, Italian researcher shares extraordinary evidence files of world's first UFO crash 14 years before Roswell and the secret department set up by Mussolini's government to study the craft that was later captured by U.S. forces. It says here a top U.S. intelligence officer claims World War II American forces retrieved the UFO that crashed in Italy in 1933, and Italian researchers say they have the documents to prove it. Former top National Reconnaissance Office staffer David Grush shocked the world last month when he revealed he had blown the whistle in sworn testimony to Congress and government watchdogs about an alleged secret United States program that has obtained multiple non-human flying saucers. Grush claims one of these alien spacecraft crashed in northern Italy in 1933 and was secreted away by fascist dictator Benito Mussolini before it was captured by American forces at the end of World War II and shipped to the United States. It goes on to say here, it says, the Daily Mail understands that Grush was briefed on the supposed June 1933 crash by a staffer who allegedly worked on the non-human craft in a secret U.S. government program. So let's just stop there for a second. So Grush was briefed on this by somebody who was working on this craft. He was told about it, and then he was cleared to talk about it publicly. And yet, to this day, I've not seen anything from the government about this. They have not issued any other statements about whether this is real or not real. Or they do say what they have said in the Arrow report. Arrow says, "Oh, we have no evidence of extraterrestrial stuff." I think what they're doing there is they're playing semantics. A lot of people are starting to think that they're just playing semantics because they could get away with, well, we don't know where it's from later on. That's what I think. But anyway, let's continue a little bit more with this article. It says here, and this week, Senate Intelligence Committee ranking member Marco Rubio confirmed he has heard testimony from alleged first-hand witnesses of such crash retrieval programs. And then in an interview with Daily Mail to coincide with Sunday's World UFO Day, Italian researcher Roberto Pinotti shared extraordinary details of the alleged saucer crash that occurred a full 14 years before the famous Roswell, New Mexico incident. Pinotti, who's president of the National Ufological Center, which goes by the Italian initialism CUN, obtained documents he claims evidence of the June 13th, 1933 crash and a secret department set up by Mussolini to study the alleged saucer. Pinotti's research has been met with skepticism in Italy since he first released it in 2000 and is still little known outside its borders. Now he actually found some documents. There was different telegrams and things that he found. One of it says two of them, the documents, they include 2 June 1933 telegrams in Italian, one demanding absolute silence over an alleged landing on national soil of unknown aircraft. Another, dated June 13th, threatens the immediate arrest and maximum penalties for any journalists reporting news of an aircraft of unknown nature and origin. Immediate recasting of any leads from the newspapers bearing said news is ordered, the second telegram said. It says both say they are by personal order of Mussolini himself. So there's in this article you get to see these documents, these orders that were sent out by Mussolini about this, to keep this secret. Apparently at the time that what they thought it was something from another country, some sort of a weapon or a flying aircraft from some other country, and it wasn't thought that it was extraterrestrial, apparently. Piecing together the mysterious documents, Pinotti was able to pinpoint SIAI Marchetti in Vergiette, an aircraft facility near the alleged crash site outside Magenta, a satellite town of Milan, as the likely site where the supposed wreckage was stored. The site miraculously avoided regular bombing raids by Allied forces during the Second World War, and 12 years later, in 1945, the region was secured by United States and UK troops. U.S. whistleblower Grush claims it was around this time that the supposed craft was shipped back to the United States, the first saucer recovery to his knowledge. Here's what Grush actually stated. Here's a direct quote. He says, in 1933, a bell-like craft around 10 meters in size was recovered in Magenta, northern Italy. It was kept by Mussolini's government until 1944, when it was recovered by agents of the Office of Strategic Services, or OSS, a former U.S. intelligence agency, which would later become the CIA. Ironically, it predates anything the public has heard about for decades, such as Roswell, etc. Okay, now there's more to this article. I'm not going to get into it all, but I guess the whole point of it is okay, the government has not refuted this at all yet. They allowed Grush to talk about this, and still we don't have any more information from the government. What is this object? What has the United States government determined about this object, and where do they know where it came from? Are they able to tell us what its origins are? Is it extraterrestrial? Do they believe it's extraterrestrial? This was something that Grush was allowed to talk about publicly. So if it is real, and it could be. It could be. Again, Grush is saying it. The government's not. They're not refuting it. They haven't said anything as far as I could see. If anybody else could provide me any sort of documentation that shows that the government denies that this is real, please let me know. But I haven't seen anything. And I guess you have to wonder, okay, 1933, something weird crashes in Italy. Mussolini covers it up, doesn't know what it is. They probably don't think it's extraterrestrial. That's just my guess. I don't know. But I would imagine that they don't know what it is, and they think it could be something from another country. That's what they probably were thinking. They put it away. But then the Americans, they after toward the close of World War II, they get it. They bring it back to America. So if that's true, that means we did have something before Roswell, and that means that the United States knew about the potentiality of an extraterrestrial presence as early as 1944 or 1945. But they probably didn't know what to do with that kind of information, or do they even talk about it publicly. I'm sure that the determination, obviously, if this story is true, the determination was made, well, we don't say anything about it. We just, we'll sit back and wait. And of course, then 1947 rolls around. People start seeing UFOs all over the place. Something that definitely crashed in Roswell. There's no doubt about it. In fact, I'm going to be doing a show on that pretty soon, where I'm going to show once and for all that everything the Air Force has been telling us since the 90s about this is all nonsense. I'm going to show that. I'm going to illustrate in an upcoming episode on why that is. There's no doubt in my mind that the Roswell incident really involved some sort of an extraterrestrial craft. Dead alien bodies, just like a lot of the witnesses have that are now not with us have stated in the past. I'm going to get into that in an upcoming podcast. I'm still working on it. But anyway, what about this? What about this object in Italy? That's what I think is possible. And it's still also possible that there was that 1941 crash in Missouri, the Cape Girardeau. That's still possible too. I mean, that was actually, we only have one witness for that one, and then we have it was mentioned, there was a crash in 1941 that was mentioned in one of those Majestic 12 leaked documents, the White Hot document, which I talked about in a recent podcast. So it's possible that people within the United States government understood before 1947, before the Roswell incident happened, right? They understood that there could be some extraterrestrial presence or extraterrestrials visiting this planet. They most certainly would have covered it up, in 1941, and then if 1944, 45, when they discovered this object in Italy, they would have kept that quiet. There's no question about it. They probably just would have figured, maybe for all we know, they might have thought to themselves, well, I guess maybe every now and then there's something out there that visits us. And I guess these guys crashed, and we better not tell the public because that might panic them, and we'll just forget about it. Maybe that's what was going on. I don't know. I don't. For one thing, as I talked about recently too, I don't believe in this 1945 Trinity crashes. That was proven to be a hoax, as far as I'm concerned. I did talk about that as well. So we have those two crashes. Then we also have another crash in 1897, the Aurora, Texas crash. Now I know there's some people who say, well, there's no evidence to that. Well, there is, though. I mean, there was actually a plot in the local cemetery where they buried this whatever crashed, whatever died in the crash, and they said it was not of this earth in local newspapers at the time. I mean, we talked about that before. So there could be, at least before Roswell, it's possible that there were at least 3 other crashes that we know of, and then there's other crashes that are listed in different books that could be as well. We just don't know. But those 3, the Aurora in 1897, looks like something happened there. It was talked. It was written about in two different newspapers at the time. They actually the townspeople actually buried the body from this wreckage into a grave in their local cemetery, and the stone was still there up until 1973 until somebody stole it, and it had a picture of what looked like a flying saucer engraved on it. So you have that. And then you have this story. They heard what we know about the 1941 Cape Girardeau story. We don't know if it's true or not, but it could be. Again, we only really had one third-hand witness telling the story, but it was believable. And plus, we had the mention of 1941 crash in the White Hot document, and now we have this one. And still, now this is something that the government allowed Grush to talk about publicly, and they have not refuted it yet. He said it's extraterrestrial, it's alien in nature. That's what Grush said. And nobody from the government to this point has stepped up to a podium. Not even Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick has talked at all about what this is. Nobody from the government has mentioned anything. Maybe we were just missing the forest for the we can't see the forest for the trees sometimes. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe this is it. Maybe we should be looking at this because nobody said otherwise. Grush made a statement. Where's the refutation? Maybe it really did happen. Maybe there's something to this. Where's the government? Well, I want to know what the United States government has to say about this. What's Arrow's response to this Italy object? This object that crashed in 1933. What do they have on this? According to Grush, he was told that it was extraterrestrial by somebody on the inside. And then the government allowed him to make that information public. Why? And how come they haven't refuted it yet? What's going on with it? When I first heard it, just like when I first heard the story about those Peruvian corpses, right? I just, are we being tricked again? Is this some sort of a trick? Well, maybe it's not a trick. Maybe these things aren't tricks after all. Maybe this is something that they're telling us. Maybe that's what's going on. Grush told us that this is something that happened. That they don't know where it came from, and they have no idea what the object is, and that it was extraterrestrial. Is that what? So maybe this is disclosure. Nobody said otherwise yet. Grush made that statement. Nothing else. Arrow has said, "Oh, there's no such thing as reverse engineering programs or crash retrievals. Don't believe that stuff. Don't believe that stuff." But they never said anything about this. Not yet. Anyway. I just thought it was important to point that out. I think maybe more research is necessary on this one too. Obviously, there hasn't been enough yet. I mean, I think there has been other people. This guy from Italy, that's this UFO researcher, Pinotti. He's been looking into this since the 90s, and he insists that there's something to it. And now we get something from Grush last year stating that he learned about it from somebody in the government, somebody who was actually working on this craft who told him it's extraterrestrial, and then he was allowed to tell that publicly. And yet there's no refutation from the government. So what's going on with this, folks? That's what I'd like to know. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. Until next time. Oh yeah, just one more thing. The boss is telling me that I need to ask people not to forget to like my show, and also to don't forget to subscribe to it. And if you're on Spotify, please give me a good rating on the Spotify app on your phone if you get a chance. Thanks a lot. Until next time.